Okay, we're live.
And ready? Yes. Okay, so there's a couple of things. One, the U.S. Department of Treasury has said the month of October in the U.S. economy added 638,000 jobs, beating all expectations. The unemployment rate declined by 6.9, continuing the 6 consecutive months declining and crushing all expectations. We've moved up. We've gotten better. Of note, unemployment rates continue to decline just in our minority groups. But aren't we talking about trying to recruit people for this? I believe too that when you told the public about the millage, it was realizing it drastically improved district union relationships. This is not working for me. I think too that not having full numbers in Tom's hands, if you're going to argue numbers, is unfair. So if there's a millage or other numbers that Tom needs, he should have those in order to work our budget with us.
He has all the numbers. I asked him if he had the 1.5, and he thinks he has, but he wasn't sure.
Well,
But the revenue figures, all the revenue figures.
and where's the millage from last year? Where's the millage from the year before?
When he gives his report, most of it is rolled over and it's tied up in POs for this year.
So we have no way to see that.
Yes, sir.
It's just word of mouth. We're gonna go with that.
I can get you the annual report that's published in the newspaper.
I think too that we will talk about this, but not till Tom and I have time to talk budget. So we're not gonna sign it tonight. But we will look at it. I think too, the poor me broke thing has been heard so many times that I don't think we believe you anymore. We'll sign this now with it being at the top of the budget as a priority next year, but that just means we'll come back and negotiate so you can tell us to support us again. And we have no money, because that's what happens every single year. By the way, you made a comment about how your team hasn't asked for anything or gotten anything. That's not really true. We signed off on quite a few things. Also, we started this negotiation last June. This is not us holding this up. This proposal, our salary was in front of you with an out last June. Between June and now, we have signed off on what, 12? Something like that. So whatever that complaint is, that's totally your side of the table.
No,
We brought this, we re-brought this, we've been told away from the table, we've told in private, individually, together, that this was not how this was gonna roll. I was very clear I was bringing back the exact same proposal, which clearly you weren't ready to counter. This is clearly a rush, this is very rushed. This is not only just rushed, but I don't think, we need to add flowery stuff about how this is, exceeds the requirements, because it doesn't exceed the requirements. I want to know if this 4% you're offering us is out of TSA money or out of general fund. So is it 4% on top of the TSA money? Or is it 4% including TSA money?
Cool.
So we're not giving teachers anything out of our pocket.
It would, I think the best answer to that question, it goes above and beyond the 2.85 that the TSA would cover. The remaining balance comes from what would be the general fund.
So-
If I may.
So what we offer, the 2.85 absorbs 100% of TSA. Any percent above that would come from general fund.
Okay, well, the numbers on your original document are flawed. It doesn't cover all of the TSA money. There's extra TSA money on the table in that, quite a bit of it, in fact.
Me and Tom can get together, because
Not without me.
If
And
I
you can
could,
take exception to anything you want, but this is going to turn into an argument in about 30 seconds.
okay, well, we're not looking to have an argument, but with all due respect, our proposal included teachers that were not statutorily required, so we attempted.
Agreed,
to
but
do
you
that.
left teachers like Matt with dirt. He's neither at 47.5 nor high enough to get any kind of 4% raise. His raise is gonna be what, like $800, Matt?
No, 300 or something.
probably more in the 800 range, but yes, it would be neither particularly large nor the 4%. It would just get me, according to the language in that document, to 47.5. So I would get the least out of any of the groups.
So that whole group, like Matt, he's a good example, will get the least out of anybody. So I understand that you're coming in saying that the top of this is the group that's getting hurt the most, but I think Matt would beg to differ with you. And I think that whole group would beg to differ with you. So the answer is we will take this seriously, we will look at the budget, but we need time to do it.
I mean, I just, By no means, Tom or Jennifer or executive committee, our goal is to be transparent as transparent would be. My expectation that I set for my team is be fully transparent with the funds we have. And I think that puts us in a scenario in which the conversation becomes significantly easier to have when we get to this stage. So I would encourage Ron to meet with you and Tom so you all can have a deep understanding. I can tell you on the record, and Ron can tell you too, I'm going to push to give as much as we possibly can. I full-heartedly understand that there are things that we haven't presented, and you're right. That's on this side of the table, not on your side of the table. So I'm fine with that. So
I also find it interesting that you approved those two positions last Tuesday at the school board meeting, 3 Tuesdays ago. And now you don't have money to pay teachers. But you have money to pay those two people.
no, I don't. Those were budgeted and came at a cost savings.
So we didn't budget teachers first.
We no, and it's not that we don't have the money. It is clearly coming to an understanding as to the money that we have available, so we don't bankrupt the district. It's not, one over the other. And it's not, that's just not how God made it. It's not. There's no such thing in this administration where it's cloak and dagger or we're going to pay district people first. I'll empty out the district. I know how to transform a district. I know what you need to value, and that's teachers. And there's no, those two positions cost less than the two positions that we had in the original budget. Otherwise, I wouldn't have filled them.
Are they reoccurring or are they sunset?
They're reoccurring. But as we go through this next year, you can expect this district staff, those who are not in schools, to become small. And that's just the continuation. I look at what's inside of the classroom, both at schools and both at all offices, as still significantly heavy. And that is what I would like to do, that is a gradual reduction over time so we don't impact people, because people are still in these jobs. And I think that's just, in a district our size, the way that we go. And it would have been easy to say, you know what, in maintenance, let's cut. Or in the media specialist or these things, let's negotiate these positions to maximize in other areas. And I just don't think that's the most cost efficient or healthy way to go. But it is looking at it and saying, hey, let's create a plan so we are as nimble as we can be, honoring what is most important, the classroom.
And if I may make a comment, we all know that the legislature did not build in the perfect scenario for the situation, right? Their intent was to get those newer teachers up to a certain level, but what they did not do is provide adequate funding to, reward and compensate the veteran teacher group. Okay, we're all aware of that. Across the state, we've seen that be a great difficulty amongst other districts to reconcile all of that, because I don't think there's anybody that would not want to compensate, teachers who have been there and done that and the value of their experience. That being said, I believe that our offer is a pretty good one in terms of getting past this period and moving into the next period. But to be poor stewards of our finances when we don't know what's upcoming and there's great uncertainty.
And next year when the budget comes out, you're gonna say the same thing. We don't know what's upcoming. The only thing that's certain in this world is everything's uncertain.
Well,
And that is true.
Yeah.
But what is a direction moving forward is a very, very transparent and honest conversation where it's not this cloak and dagger or let me position and cry for. And I understand the district has cried for every year because it has mismanaged its money. And in one meeting, we were able to save $4.5 million and create a school-based allocation model. And that was relatively simple to do. And that's just Sorry, it was simple to do, and there was no reduction in force. All of this came by saying, okay, discretionary money, we don't look at how schools are spending it, let's take some of that back, because honestly, they're spending it on whatever they want, that's not intentional. Let's have a school-based allocation and make sure that we're equitably giving positions where the need is the most, versus, school A getting more teachers than our highest, most neediest school, in our most neediest community. Those were very, very simple fixes, and I can't control it. They lied to you. There was money that was being spent ineffectively on the record. Now that's not the truth, and we will say, hey, this is where it's at. This is where we're spending our money. These are the challenges that we're having. That's the openness that we really need to strive to. But from where you sit, I fully understand and embrace how you feel. But I can say moving forward, let's have these conversations ongoing so we can build a sense of trust that, hey, there's no, I'm not trying to position or ask, hey, Ron, go hide this money. No, I'm here to be in service of children, and I can't do that without teachers. So that's something that we need to build over time.
I would suggest, when can you and Tom, the arrangements come over here, let's meet in the finance room.
Well, Tom will have to be teams.
Okay, that's cool. Go through my sheets and his sheets and see where you're seeing more money, because our numbers are pretty close, 2.6 million. So let's see, you indicate there was something somewhere else. And maybe we can work on some other of the scenarios that you kind of brought up.
And if I may,
Going in January. Why can't I make this?
Yeah. Because
Right.
my birthday passed.
First Thanksgiving in Indian River.
And I'd like to just say one other thing, just food for thought, not attempting to get the ire of anyone, but, here's the thing. Between last time and this time, we've moved our proposal from 2.85 to 4%. That's movement, okay? We're trying in good faith to work with you guys to get a good, fair contract that gets that money in our teachers' pockets at the earliest possible time. That being said, your proposal has, stayed stagnant at an $8 million cost approximately the entire time. We are asking for you to work with us.
We did, we broke it up to make it easier to be paid. And you didn't counter that. You didn't counter our proposal, you created a whole new proposal.
Well, that's our counter to your proposal, okay? And we're asking you to consider that so that we can move forward with the I don't even know what year it is, 2021 contract, get that finished, right? And then move forward.
So we're not going to do anything with performance pay that would help your veteran teachers. We're not going to
I think
work with any of the other pieces that we put into this.
Stop me when I'm,
Okay.
if those are things that you would want to counter with that, would that be the most appropriate way?
Why would we counter our own proposal?
We just gave you.
No, we're talking about performance pay.
There's performance pay, there's like
We
6
need to have
proposals
more
here.
discussion about performance pay. I would submit that we keep it status quo this year and then move it to next year.
So don't use that to help your veteran teachers. Don't come up with a proposal for that. That would actually be a little work.
Well, we had other discussions about that, so this is actually frankly a little bit surprising today, so I think we need.
Performance pay should have been surprising.
No, performance pay.
We said we were bringing it back exactly like it was, that we were willing to find a committee and work on it that way through the 3 years that we're not gonna have now. I didn't change that. But until you bring it to a table and put it on paper, it doesn't count anyway. I mean, it just doesn't. And if you guys wanna sit here and have a conversation about the performance pay, well, let's make it a meeting for it, let's do it.
I agree.
I'm more than fine with that, and once again, I would challenge you, as you have the conversation, performance pay and steps. I would encourage you to.
Say steps. No, that's steps. State legislation.
Rewind, retention bonus, or
Something along those lines.
then,
Sounds
to me,
Incorrect.
it's increments, I don't, it's a model that's broken. And, students are not gadgets, or they're not products, they're not a outcome. I don't like the model, never have liked the model, so this is more than a way of saying, hey, As a teacher, I need to know I can take a risk. I need to know I can try things different. I need to know I can explore new ways of doing this work. And I need to continually grow in my craft. That's it, that embraces creativity versus let me teach to a test because I know I need to have a 3-year value added model or whatever. There's a lot of things in there that we could discuss. And they're very open to exploring how we do that. And ready to have that conversation.
So, and you plan on putting that in this year's contract?
We'll have to discuss it with him.
As we have those conversations, and what we can get done is what we can get done when we're done getting those, hey, as far, if we continue to wait and say, to me, there's so many things that we can do, and that's just a prime example of being creative, and I think that's one of the unique things that we have here in this particular county is a willingness to have that kind of dialogue, to create things that really are in the best interest. We don't have to follow a state model. We can figure out things on how we want to do them to compensate and to create how we interact and improve the quality of instruction for kids. And
So we're gonna put instruction into our contract now.
well, how we create the scenarios.
Well, I'm trying to figure out how we're wording things so that we're on the same page. So the instruction, the creativity and instruction, I think that goes into the contract or into the TEP?
I'm not saying I'm just saying, when you're looking at incentive pay, there are other ways to look
Okay.
into it.
That's different, okay.
So,
I believe there are questions. So, Tom, go ahead.
Yeah, so I had a question. How much do you see your proposal as costing? So I can make sure, like, I'm trying to compare apples to oranges here.
The original proposal we had was real close to your number of 2.6 million.
Yeah,
This
the
one-
original one, because that one was just the TSA money. So how much is the extra 4% you think going to cost?
About $650,000.
Yeah, I got something pretty close to that too. So we must be working off a pretty similar number. So yeah, I got 630. So we're a little off, but not too much. So yeah, it's probably some rounding errors or something. So that seems reasonable, like a reasonable difference. But yeah, I think it's a good idea for us to maybe get together with Jennifer and talk about some data and talk about some things. But I think we're talking the same language. I think that we just have a disagreement about what is recurring and what is non-recurring. So.
Okay. Well, Jennifer, you guys keep talking and give me a call and see what's.
We have Thanksgiving next week. I don't think either Tom or I have the time this week. Tom, we'd have to wait till the week after Thanksgiving, yes?
Yeah, probably. I mean,
Because he's in 4 counties, not just.
oh, God bless you.
yeah.
Other counties,
I'm down in Okeechobee.
well, I don't know much about.
You let me know.
Okay, we can do that. Ren, you got a question?
No, I was gonna make a comment, but I think I'm gonna withhold it for now. And I'd like to try and sit in on that meeting with Ron and Tom and you down the road too.
Not a bad idea.
I've been doing this. I will just say this. I've been doing this for 30 years now, and I've heard the same kicking the can down the road for 30 plus years about trying to significantly raise teacher pay. And guess what? I'm still here, and it hasn't happened. So that's all I'm going to say.
And I appreciate and understand why you're saying that, but I'm going to prove you wrong, sir.
Megan, do you still have a question?
I just want to comment on that. You know something? I really, really hope you do, because back in July, I had a lot more faith in that than I do today. Okay, let me just say that. Megan, on to you.
And I'm in agreement. I mean, we hear this over and over, and you can go in a circle forever and say that you're going to give, want to give. However, it's not real clear by the counter that is what you want. And my question was, now, the governor clearly knows that all these teachers across the state of Florida are going to go somewhere from 35.5, 37.5, 38, 40, whatever they make, to 47.5. Would that not include a reoccurring fund given to the school districts that currently is not being given because of the raises? I mean, would every county be given more money because that is the expectation by the governor at this point?
Reoccurring, right?
Hmm?
Essentially, you're asking if the TSA money is reoccurring.
No. What I'm asking is they're not going to give the bonus. What I'm asking is the expectation is that all of these teachers are making so much more money than they were before. So with the governor knowing that, because he's the one that put that into place, wouldn't he be funding the counties a little bit more? So everybody's worried about money, but I would assume that because this was his plan and he knows that there's X amount of teachers in every single county in the state of Florida, the funding would not be the same next year as it was this. And I'm not talking about bonus money, because bonus money doesn't equal salary.
Usually what happens when you get a allotment of money to go toward a certain item, if you think back however many years ago that the Governor Scott did the teacher raise of X amount, what happens is, and Jermaine held up the number 3, and I think that's probably about what it'll be. It'll be an allocation for about 3 years, and then it'll get summed up into the base student allocation.
Which will probably be less. Which will probably be less.
What was the raise?
Sort of like our cost of living.
You remember? Yeah.
Yeah, it wasn't much.
So long ago. But then they raised the BSA for how many years, and then they finally raised the BSA this year. So in 3 years, they'll probably raise the BSA.
I take that away.
We do appreciate the fact that the association is considering our offer instead of rejecting it. And we do appreciate your open mind with respect to that and kind of the motivation from which we came with this particular proposal. So, you know, that being said, we're open to continuing dialogue on the subject.
Part of that, I just want to make a comment, but part of the problem is too many teachers, not just here in our county, but this is where this is what we'll talk about. Too many teachers work 2 jobs. There's too many. They leave school, they put extra time in, and they go to some other job, and they're getting burned, and these part-time jobs are looking better and better. So as a district, we have to do something to make sure that instead of focusing here and there, that you're focused in one place and give all the energy to our kids. I mean, I leave here and I jump in the truck and I go haul cars, because if I don't do it, it ends on me. You know, but getting home 10 o'clock at night and whatever else, and then up the next morning and be an effective teacher, after a certain while, you know, I'm doing young now, but at some point,
It's not gonna last.
you don't balance this life, you know? It doesn't balance, so.
100%. All right, my question is, I don't know if it's for all or whatever, our next scheduled negotiations is November 30th, but that's Thanksgiving in there. I'm asking you, are we going to have enough time between, because that's only this week? And we have our building rep meeting Thursday, so I'm just asking, are we planning on coming back on the 30th, or are we gonna push it to another? That's all I wanted to know.
And we made an aggressive original schedule to just keep us going.
Right, I know.
With the understanding that we know we might have to kick out 1 or 2.
Well,
And that's fine, I just wanted to
I
ask
think
that while
that
we were
we had
here.
originally planned the 30th right of Thanksgiving, thinking that we'd be a lot further along than we are now.
Well, at the beginning of 2020, a lot of things, we all thought it was gonna be one way, and it isn't. So I think we did pretty good.
So we have one scheduled for the 30th.
Mhm.
We also have an e-board meeting on the 7th. If we don't keep the 30th, we are not available until the 14th.
What's wrong with the 3rd? I mean.
I'm just asking if that's enough
The
time for
30th?
us
Okay, yeah,
to.
okay.
The reason where she's saying is because we just talked about sitting with Megan and doing numbers, but next
We
week
have
is
school board meeting
Thanksgiving,
tomorrow night,
Gotcha.
we have
And
the
then that would be
building rep meeting
Monday.
on
Thursday
Thursday,
night, so we're busy this whole week.
and then you have Thanksgiving next week.
And then we'd be back without numbers and sitting at this table.
Yeah, for no reason, I got it.
And I'm sorry, I'm asking to leave early and I have to rush out and not get ready for the next day, so.
Yeah, no, I'm with
It's a
you.
little
Yeah.
stressed right
Yeah,
now.
no, I get it, I get it, I get it. Maybe that would be the day to meet by then.
What about just me and you and Tom?
I should say, yeah, Tom, Ren,
Yeah,
probably Matt. Do you want it, instead of negotiations on the 30th, do you want to make that the day we meet with Tom?
That's perfect.
Or to Mr.
yeah, I'm
Fagan?
okay with that. I'm
Tom?
okay with that.
Yeah.
Okay, so are you guys okay then if we leave negotiations as scheduled on December 7th? And then, I'm sorry, not December 7th, first.
No,
No, it's
30th,
14th.
I mean, the 14th.
14th.
Oh, right.
The 7th is our
Sorry.
board meeting, I was mixing them up, they're both red, and my phone for some reason is dark.
Honestly, good about it, too.
So we'll leave negotiations on the 14th. The 30th negotiations won't be negotiations anymore, it'll be our meeting with Mr. Fagan with numbers.
November
Yes, that
30th.
sounds like a
November
good plan.
30th.
Right.
So that'll be just a small group of us talking over numbers and figuring that down, and then we'll be ready for negotiations on the 14th. Does that sound about right?
What time on the 30th?
I'm sorry, what?
What time on the 30th?
Do you want to do it any earlier, Tom, on the 30th?
I can do it earlier. I don't know about everybody else. Yeah.
It's just getting worse. I'm so distracted.
I'm flexible.
Matt, are you okay?
Yeah.
Maybe Earlier? So what are you thinking, Mr. Fagan?
Um,
I have nothing scheduled that day
I
yet.
got some miscellaneous meetings. I'm good. Just get, I can make it work.
So do you want to do it early, or like 3? Is that good?
3 works for
2:30, 3? 3's good? Everybody?
3 is good for me.
On the 30th?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah.
We will need a Teams invite for Tom though. Tom can, he doesn't.
Well,
And Ren.
Oh, and Ren. Yeah, because Ren has
I'll
to
make it,
stay.
I'll make it all team. You coming in, you gonna?
I'll come in.
Okay, so 30th at
I'll
3?
need a Teams invite as well, please.
Sure.
Yes,
Thank you.
I'll have the morning.
yes. You be teaching or you come in?
You just need a conference in the finance conference.
Okay,
I'm sorry, you said 3.
3.
I just put in 3.
We have 3 on the 30th, and we're gonna meet with Mr. Fagan's comments.
Okay, that sounds like a good plan. Do we have any other items this evening, or should we close our negotiation session?
We handed you everything yet, so.
All right.
So
Anybody
can I
else?
just say that, I mean, we are in the midst of a pandemic and this is hard, complex work. And we're putting pressure on ourselves, quite honestly, that's in our nature to put on ourselves because we want to be in the best interest of children. And I know the stress it causes everybody. And the only way through that is to continue to engage in a conversation and solve problems as they arise. And I, you know, it just, I listen what, you know, I believed it more in July than I believe it now is also very, very hard to hear. Because the truth be told, we're fighting a pandemic and we're defining problems as they arise. And from me, sitting in the seat of superintendent, when there's a problem, let's solve it. Let's not let it fester. So you have my cell phone, please, when there are problems. Sometimes they're gonna say, you know, I don't know the solution right now. We're gonna have to figure it out. But I can't allow people to perceive this administration as it doesn't care or it's willing to sell people short, because that's not how we work. And I know it's hard, I know it's complex, and I know it's frustrating, and everything we can give you, you wholeheartedly deserve. I don't think there's anyone on this team that doesn't wholeheartedly believe that. But we have to continue to have this conversation. I know we can grow through a good contract to be a national model in how you compensate teachers and how students perform when you're willing to have those difficult conversations. So that's just a renewed sense of where my spirit tells me to say is that when there's a problem, I don't care what the problem is, we're going to solve the problem. Or we're going to say, you know what, that's going to be a frustration for X number of days until we figure it out. And both are true. Both are true, but it is very hard for me to hear, I'm speaking more to my people, that there is this issue that I don't know anything about. And it's okay to have issues, but let it not hamper or pull away or decay our relationships, because that's what's gonna move a district. And that's what we have to say, you know what, let's, I don't wanna say have these fights, but let's speak passionately about what we believe in, and knowing we can say what we wanna say in order to, at the end of the day, get us to a better place. I think that's the commitment I wanna renew from my perspective, my team's perspective. I know this ain't easy, and it's not easy for us to make these things, but I know it's not easy for you to have, you know, all those teachers looking at you and looking at you all. But we just gotta continue to do this work, so.
So, I agree with that.
The reality is this, since I've known you guys, we punched through how many MOUs, a contract, you know, last year we got through impasse, we got a contract signed, we got stuff moving for the first time.
We didn't get through impasse, we were imposed upon.
Yeah, but we also got through it together.
But I wasn't here for this, so just, let's not go there.
But the point is, we've done a lot in an extraordinary situation. I have no doubt we can kick through this issue as well.
Yes, sir.
Jennifer, Tom, Ren, Elaine, Matt,
And Matt,
And Matt.
Matt,
Matthew Rallo.
Rollo.
Matt.
RA,
Okay. Are we closed for negotiations then at this moment? Are we off the record now?
You got it.
Well, we have to stop.
Not too much to your
Stop
point.
recording.
Okay,
Your point.
Do you want me to stop?
not yet.
Hold on one
I
second.
mean, it could either be on or off, I'm just gonna make a comment. But to your point of, where you're trying to lead our district, you know, being best on the trend. Our location helps us and it hinders us, because there's no major city right there where people can find cheap housing or, you know, north or south of us. So to recruit someone who doesn't actively and you don't have a decent financial package and say, yeah, you know, you're gonna come here, you won't be able to run to the club every night or do such and such, but you're gonna be able to make a living and live close to where you work. Like, that's our challenge as a district. And I'm saying that because I came here from New York City. All right, but I purposely wanted to leave the city and come here. So that's one person it's easy to recruit me, to convince someone else that, no, I have a really nice opportunity for you, can live, you can grow, you can build with us. If the financials are not where they're supposed to and the perks aren't there, like I was trying to sell, you know, ice to a guy in the desert. It ain't, or sell sand in the desert. It ain't gonna happen.
You know, I agree, that's why I pointed to Jennifer, that there's some lead.
Okay, we know each other, yeah.
He's tired.
But we are growing. We are one of the few districts that actually increased in enrollment, which is 100 kids, like 110 or 100. Every other one is, you know, looking for the kids that never showed up. So we have, and there are things, I'm very similar. I used to live a mile from my house, and you know, so, and I moved from a big city too, but there's videos.
I said, that's what I was thinking. Oh,
That'd be assistant
You
superintendent.
guys can stop recording. You've gone off first.
But there are unique things, like the housing committee, like a teacher village, there's some neat things that we can do. And just my level of my willingness to do some very innovative and creative things, people